Today we'll look at my first Brothers War pack, we'll look at some of the cards in more detail, any art, mechanics or story that catches our eye will be touched upon later. The first card has a lot to unpack, see what I did there? This is what I love about slow unpacking, these comments that hold so much flavor. Loran's escape allows you to help a creature escape, that's simple. It lets you scry because you get the chance to recover a weapon against the Phyrexians. The flavor says, as Theriscia's city burned, Felden pressed the Silex into Loran's hands and urged her to run. Hope ran with her. After reading the story, we learn that the Silex is the only thing that could defeat the Phyrexians. That's a simple keyword. Now Loran is the person in the art here. She knew Urza and Mishra and was learning on Argive. She knew them because she was a student to Tocasia, who also taught the brothers. Loran went on to become a peaceful student, interested in history. This is also why she does feel obliged to save the Silex. Because to her, the Silex is not a weapon, but a window into the past, just as the Brothers' War could be to us. Felden, who entrusted the Silex to Loran when Theriscia was burning, was also a digger of history. Get it? Because he's an archaeologist? I make jokes as if I am a history teacher. But Felden was mostly interested in research, so even though there was a world war, he joined the third side, which was aptly named the Third Path. This is also why Felden and Loran share the same name of the Third Path. Felden and Loran quickly fell in love because of their massive heads. Felden stayed around Theriscia after it was burned and started to learn magic, inspired by Hercule, who blasted a large group of machines that attacked Theriscia. Loran was first tortured by a red woman. When the Silex that she saved exploded and brought on the Ice Age, she died from her old injuries. The death of his wife prompted a beautiful story which I will voice shortly and link up above. This little bit of research shows why this card and the fact that we only see young Loran are so melancholic and deep. See, just from a comment, such a story. And now is a part where I unpack this one a little differently, because I will not go over every card in detail, but if you see anything that you think I underappreciated, please let me know, because it will make the next video better, and I can promise to make you a separate video about that card, about the art in it, about the mechanics maybe, or a deck that you like it in. So please let me know and I will reward you in that manner. Thanos is another key character from this set. We are taught about Urza's assistant and this is an earlier form of the man. At first he made toys, mostly inspired by nature, much like Saheeli now. Although Thanos made these natural creatures because he thought nature was important, not because it was a tool for inspiration, which makes him Simic. Thanos is later taught to make grander and grander automations, but really he's just copying Urza in making destructive war machines, rather than improving on his own artificing skills. At this point I think Thanos is at his strongest character-wise, and even though he will lose his green nature in favor of blue's efficiency, his green side remains. When it's time to make a change, he destroys many of Urza's war machines and plans and only leaves a few schematics of his own toys. In this card he copies birds and beasts as artifacts, because he remakes them as toys. So if you want to be fancy, you will have to make the toy version of every card in your deck as a token. That would be a deck I'd love to play against. A small moment with this Staff of Titania, which is a cool card showing us the Dryad powers of Titania, who is a very important character but rarely touched upon, and I can imagine that this is one of the things that you might want to know more about, but I won't go into it right now. Ringed by white stone, Theriscia was a city of scholarship and knowledge, where magic promised a brighter future to a world devoured by artifice. Theriscia, otherwise known as the Ivory Towers, was the capital of the world at the time of this set's origin. It was here that Felden and Loran worked together to further the peaceful side of war. It was a beautiful city, Theriscia, one that made you forget war altogether. perfect for the third path to be housed in. The city and its inhabitants tried to stay neutral and succeeded for a long time. Because of this, the brothers only looked at the massive ivory walls once they felt like they had a stalemate. As we saw before, the city would eventually fall to Mishra's superior war machines. The ivory tower grants life because the city is beautiful and peaceful, but even it can be destroyed. We have some interesting cards here, with a creation from Ursa, a creation despite Ursa, and a transformer, which is also a thing. I don't mind researching these, but I must say that I don't know much about them right now, so I won't go into them right now. The designed version of Gilded Lotus shows us the expansive version of the Artificed Lotus. Hercule writes about the power of the lotus and how preserving its potency requires careful coding. While handling these flowers, you have to be as delicate as them, in order to truly store their power. So now we wonder who Hercule was. She was the sorcerer who defended Theresia to her last breath. She must have known that it stood for peace, the city, beauty and a silence in which you can study her beloved magic. At the time, people got around by using artifacts and making art in the city of Theresia, but Hercule would be the first to protect her home with a huge spell. This became known as Hercule's Recall. Even years after this spell, her power inspired artificers to use a sense of natural flow in their machinations. It even inspired Felden to eventually use magic in his creations, more importantly, for a burned city. She found out how to return objects to their states before they were burned. And now we finish with a pair of tokens with a Power Stone, which fuels a Thopter. And I want to thank you for watching, and let me know if you like this style and what cards you want me to talk about more.